Joe, thank you. That's a good one. Oh, you're muted. Beautiful. Thank you. When you're ready, you go on ahead, Michael, if you don't mind praying for communion when she's all done. Oh my gosh.
I got you covered.
Thank you. We changed some things up today, and my whole get up is going to be a wreck, but we're just going to do it. So, Joe, when you're ready, please lead us through your thoughts of communion.
Hey, so as you can see, I am here with Michael in Northern Ireland. It was a very last minute trip. I think I officially booked my ticket on Thursday, flew out on Friday because Michael's aunt was not well. She had lung cancer and she was in her last days. So I flew out here so that I could be with Michael and his family and just kind of be of a support system here for him. So that's why I'm here. But it also allowed me to experience a lot in the last week. His aunt passed away yesterday. So we actually stayed up there at her home with Michael's cousins, her two daughters. We stayed up there, for the whole week. Michael got home from America on Monday night, and then Tuesday was up at his aunt's and never left. So he's been there for, a long time. But it had me thinking a lot about transformation, just seeing what transformed and what took place over the last week. And so but not just in the transformation of Michael's aunt, but transformation in many different ways and many different areas over the week. So one of the big things for me, so I arrived at Aunt Margaret's house last Saturday. I got there and she was, conscious and, she was coming in and out, of sleep and stuff, but, she was very aware of who was there. And, I walked in and they woke her up and they were like, oh, our Jen's here, which P.S. I love that that's what they say, our Jen, I belong. There's our Jen here. And, she opened her eyes, she gets the smile on her face. We were able to have not a conversation, but, I was able to talk to her and she was, able to talk to me. And so it was really a beautiful and sweet moment. This is the sister to Michael's mom. I never met Michael's mom. She passed away years ago. But apparently Aunt Margaret is identical to his mom, Linda. So in a way it was very, I don't know, it was bittersweet to me. Cause it was I was, it just felt very surreal to me in a sense. But so we had this moment with Aunt Margaret, but then, so that was really beautiful. But that same day, Saturday, I had I was in someone else's home, so I felt really awkward. I felt, I was nervous to make noise in the house. I was afraid I was going to, break something. Sure enough, I did. I broke a glass, that feeling when you're in someone, you're in a new place and you're not comfortable. It's oh my gosh, I've met Michael's cousins before, but I don't know them well. And, here I am in someone's home. So then that was new for me too. And then over the next couple of days, Margaret's consciousness started to decrease, over time. She was sleeping more during the day and still opening her eyes every once in a while, nodding, totally aware of what was going on, but not as awake as, she had been days before. But then the other transformation and all that was I was becoming more comfortable in the home. And I was becoming more of with Michael's cousins, that relationship was getting closer. And so there was that transformation, and then more transformation kept going. Then, Margaret's consciousness was, completely gone. But at the same time, then I was making my way comfortably around the house. I was helping myself to whatever, I needed, laughing, joking with the family. The relationships all felt very natural at this point. So there was a lot of transformation happening. And then yesterday, Margaret passed away in the afternoon. And the odd transformation for me this time was it felt weird leaving the house to come home. I felt like I was going to miss Michael's cousins, I was going to miss that time. So in a week's span, the difference of transformation that was going on in these days where you wouldn't look for transformation other than obviously in Margaret, you're looking for the progression and leading up to her death. But so many other areas of transformation were happening during that week. So my thought was, I was thinking transformation, it's inevitable, it's everywhere. It's going to happen in every situation. life transforms us, illness, health, our environment, our families, situations, things like that. They can lead up to and cause transformation when we don't even know that it's happening. And it also showed me the beauty in transformation, because it was such a mixture. And I introduced them, Rochelle, to the terminology that you use in sweet and sour, you know, because the week was so precious for so many reasons, but with such a bittersweet ending to it, and such a sour reason behind it, but it was so precious in it. So the transformations, they were beautiful, even in the situation that looked bad. You know, it looked like a bad situation, but there was so much more going on, you know, that is going to transform even my relationship with Michael's cousins probably for the rest of my life. So I was there, we were all there in the room when Aunt Margaret took her last breath, you know, and it was probably the most peaceful, serene setting that you could possibly have. It's something that I would hope for if I were ever in that situation. We were all there. It was really beautiful. It was quiet. It felt gentle. It felt, you know, but it's just the whole thing, like, because you have the chaos of illness, right? Like the chaos of what to expect and when's it going to happen. Like Michael was saying, it was literally a roller coaster tonight's night. I don't know how many times we prayed over her, you know, like, and you're just, oh, nope, now she's awake. Oh, nope, now she's, you know what I mean? Like it was just constant. So to be in that moment, that transformation of her transforming into a new life, a new body, you know, and her spiritual being was just beautiful. So it was a sad moment, but the transformation that was happening was beautiful. And it felt like a privilege to be there, to be a witness to that, to be part of that. So it was a beautiful mix of sweet and sour. So I got to thinking deeper about this past week in transformation. And the truth is that we've all transformed. Every single one of us, we have transformed. If we look at our lives before we made the decision to know God and connect with God and be with God, I'm willing to bet you would see a radical transformation in who you were and who you are and who you are still becoming. You know, we're constantly transforming, we're constantly changing. But in order for us to come to know God, when we came to know God, our habits had to die, right? Our old habits, our old ways had to die. Our thoughts had to die. There had to be a death involved for us to transform into something more beautiful than we could have ever imagined, and to transform into something new. You know, we became something new, but we had to let all those things die first. And it can seem so harsh, and it can seem so like, well, I don't want to let go of that old life, or I like my old ways, or this is just who I am, because that's comfortable and that's what we know. But we have to let that death happen so that we can transform into what we're actually supposed to be. And we couldn't be who we are if we hadn't died to all of that first and allowed the transformation to happen. So I joke with Michael all the time. The first time I said it, he didn't think I was joking. He didn't think I was very funny. But I always joke with him now that he's lucky. He's lucky that he gets this version of me and not who I was before, right? Because who I was before was, I was not a good wife. I was not, probably just not even a decent human being, really, truly. But so I tell him all the time, you're so lucky that you have this and not what I was, you know, because what I was just, it was just not nice. It was just not kind. But he didn't realize, he didn't know who I was before, because it's the difficult circumstances, the tragedies, the things that I went through that transformed me into ways that I didn't even know existed within myself. So the death, the heartache, the abandonment, the rejection, things that I'm still experiencing, but they were all things that were set to kill my soul and bring death to my spirit. But they're the very things that brought me and transformed me into who I am now. So I was thinking about the cross with this, right? Okay, what does this have to do with Jesus and the cross? So the cross was originally used as punishment for criminals, right? To be displayed in the most humiliating way possible. Crucifixion was humiliation. It was public death, slow death. It was gruesome. It was intended for the purpose for people to see and to not want to do whatever that guy on the cross did, right? Like that was the purpose of it. It was meant to kind of scare you in a sense, like you don't want to be that guy. So it was absolute humiliation, just ugly, the worst you could possibly think. We're not talking jail time. We are talking, you are being made an example to people in the most humiliating, painful, awful way. Like we want to make an example out of you, right? So the cross, it was not ideal. So Jesus, right? We've read about it. You know, now that we're back in the Gospels, we'll read about it again. But Jesus going to the cross, that's why. Public humiliation, slow death, gruesome. They wanted to make an example out of him to everybody else there. So the cross symbolized something so ugly and so horrible. It was a representation of condemnation and death. That's what the cross represented. But we don't see the cross the same way now. We wear it around our necks. I got it tattooed on my back. Like, you know, the cross, we're proud of it. Like, we wear it, we display it. It's hanging in our, you know, from the rear view mirror in our cars. We're putting stickers on books, laptops, the back window of our cars. Like, the cross means so much to us now because of what Jesus went through for it. So the symbol of the cross transformed completely because of the death that was endured on it, because of the death that Jesus went through. Now we see the cross as something completely different. It represents a whole new way of living for us. It represents, you know, salvation. It represents the, you know, the gift of God's glory. It represents, you know, victory. It represents so many things that it actually was not intended for. It's the total opposite of what that entire process and cross and crucifixion was meant to be. It's transformed itself into something different, but it couldn't have happened without the death first. It had to happen first. So my thought with transformation this week, the way that I've been thinking about it, is just, you can't have the transformation without the death first. And, you know, and yeah, this whole process, watching Aunt Margaret, I've never watched a whole process like this. Obviously, you know, I've been surrounded by death in my life. You know, I've experienced the effects of death in my life, but I've never actually had what I'm going to call the privilege to be there in the process, you know. And I'm grateful that I was there, that I could be there, but that I was also able to then experience like what exactly just happened. Like that last moment when she took her breath, and, you know, and it was so subtle, it was so quiet, even to where Michael's brother had to ask, like, was that it? Like, is that it? It was so peaceful and quiet. But to know I was present in that moment when she transformed, you know, into what we all, you know, are striving to be and to end up with God. I mean, that's a gift and that's a privilege. And it was a horrible situation. It was sad and it was heartbreaking, and my heart was broken for her family that was there, and soaking all of that in. So then, but the mixture of her transformation with it was beautiful. And so transformation doesn't have to always be, you know, it's not always a easy process. It's not always, you know, going to be like, oh, you know, I mean, you think about losing weight, going to the gym, anything we do to transform ourselves takes work and death to who we were. So I loved thinking about that, and especially thinking about the cross and how it's changed. We look at it completely different. So today when we take communion, Michael's going to pray for it right now, I just want to really just meditate on the ways that we've transformed and how we've seen that in our own lives, and how the things that we died to, the things that have happened to us in the past that have brought us to where we are, to just, I don't know, really just focus on that transformation. And especially with the cross was the biggest thing for me, what it represented then and what it represents now, and the different purpose that it serves. Okay.
Good, thank you, Doc. Okay, so let's pray for communion. We shall play a song. For we come before you this Sunday with grateful hearts, and Lord, we're just so thankful for what you've done for us. We can look back on our lives before we seen you, and we can see who we were, and yet, Father, that through you, through your power, that we have been transformed, and we still are being transformed. We are a work in progress. Lord, thank you for your mercy and your grace upon us. Lord, just as that song was singing about love, we thank you that you love each one of us so much that you would send your son to go through that transformation and to give his life for us. Lord, that just, it does something to our hearts that we can't explain when we think about that. And Lord, we thank you that you're always a God who wants us to change into your character more and more every day. Help us with that, Lord. And just as this week has passed and we have a new one ahead, Father, just encourage us in our walk with you. Help us focus on you and help us to put you first in all things. We know that's what pleases you, Lord. And as we take these emblems which represent your body and your blood shed for us, help us just to pour our hearts out in thankfulness to you. In Jesus' name, amen.